St. Petersburg. Founded in 1703 by Tsar Peter the Great, this brand new city enabled Russia to open a window on Europe. Peter the Great's ambition was to hoist Russia up to the same level as the major European powers. With 250 museums and 4,000 monuments, the city was nicknamed the Venice of the North. For 200 years, it was the ancient capital of the Tsars, and one can still feel the majestic atmosphere of yesteryear. Starting with one of the world's most famous buildings, the Hermitage Palace. In the reign of Catherine II, otherwise known as Catherine the Great, this was the Tsar's winter residence. Built between 1754 and 1762, the Winter Palace was designed around a vast closed courtyard. With its huge statues, it is a unique sight in St. Petersburg. Catherine the Great commissioned the architect Giacomo Quarenghi to decorate the Hermitage Palace. He also decorated the theatre and many rooms of the Winter Palace. The most spectacular are the Raphael loggias. These loggias are the exact reproduction of the decor painted by Raphael in the Vatican loggias. Except for one detail, the Pope's arms were systematically replaced by the Romanovs' eagle. It became the great museum we all know. The Hermitage Museum consists of a row of 4 buildings along the Neva, an architectural gem that fascinates visitors because of its sheer size. Catherine succeeded in creating one of the world's most beautiful collections, 3 million masterpieces. She collected sets of exceptional pieces in record time. Her method consisted of acquiring a whole series of works of art in one fell swoop. When she came to power, she bought 300 paintings from Gotskowski, a wealthy art dealer. This collection includes remarkable pieces like this portrait of a young man holding a glove by Dutch painter Frans Hals.
Catherine II bought entire collections as early as 1764 because she had just arrived at the Winter Palace and needed to decorate it. She needed paintings to decorate her apartments, and in those days it was customary in Russia to hang paintings side by side to create a sort of mural tapestry effect.
Catherine the Great immediately sent artistic agents all over Europe. One of her best transactions came about with the help of Diderot, the philosopher, a unique set of 400 paintings that belonged to financier Pierre Crozat. The Empress paid an incredible sum of money for then, £460,000. This collection is extraordinary. There are paintings by Rembrandt, Raphael, and Veronese.
By buying Crozat's paintings, she finally managed to give the Hermitage an art collection of imperial standing. She showed Europe that there was a civilized empress holding the reins of Russia, that Russia had come to be a civilized empire that other countries would have to reckon with, including on an artistic level.
Collecting art was no longer just a matter of personal taste. By acquiring these prestigious collections, Catherine II asserted the power of Russia. At the end of her reign, the Hermitage housed about 4,000 paintings. St. Petersburg owes a lot to Catherine the Great. Her statue stands at the heart of the city. It was erected in 1867 by Tsar Alexander II of Russia. He wanted both visitors and also people residing in St. Petersburg to never forget what she had done for Russia during her 34-year reign. Yet there was no indication that this Prussian-born young woman, who came to Russia at the age of 15 on the 9th of February 1744, would have such a fate. Elizabeth I, Empress of Russia, wanted her to marry her nephew, future Tsar Pierre III. To achieve this, the young Prussian converted to the Orthodox religion with much pomp and officially adopted the name of Catherine. She was married a few months later. Catherine's and Peter's wedding was celebrated on August the 21st, 1745, in St. Petersburg. But it soon became evident that the couple did not get on. She risked being repudiated. So, she decided to overthrow her husband. The man who helped Catherine to the throne was Grigory Orlov, her new lover. The Tsarina showered him with gifts. She built him a stunning palace in the heart of St. Petersburg. Designed by Italian architect Antonio Rinaldi. This palace was the only building in the 18th century to be entirely decorated with granite and different colored marble. The construction took 17 years and cost 1,600,000 rubles, a colossal amount in those days. An orgy of luxury the Empress never bestowed on herself.
Catherine II wanted the palace she had built for her loved one to be worthy of a Tsar. Catherine was generous with her lover, and he was with her. Everyone knows that he gave her the magnificent diamond that is on the imperial scepter. In fact, it is called the Orlov diamond. It's very big and very beautiful. It became a symbol for the Russian Empire.
Catherine wanted the palace to reflect the image of her lover. In the vast marble living room, Orlov is depicted as a hero of the antique world. Their relationship lasted 14 years. On the ceiling, the wedding of Cupid and Psyche is a tribute to their romance. Catherine was now firmly in power and wanted her empire to acquire the same status as other great nations. She started her great mission in Peterhof. Peterhof is situated on the edge of St. Petersburg. Considered to be one of the 7 wonders of Russia, this magnificent gem was the creation of Peter the Great. The Tsar wanted to eclipse all other European royal palaces, starting with Versailles. The 2,500-acre park looks directly onto the Finnish Gulf. Adorned with fountains, cascades, and statues, the palace was one of the Tsar's favorite residences. When Catherine sat on the throne in 1762, her legitimacy was challenged. There was not a drop of Russian blood in her veins. Worse, her husband Peter III was found dead, and the circumstances of his death remained suspicious. To everyone's eyes, she seemed a usurper and to have committed regicide. The Empress used art as a means of propaganda and even went as far as dressing up in unusual costumes. Here she is, in the throne room of Peterhof Palace, dressed as an officer of the guard. The picture was painted on the same day Catherine II arrived on the throne. As did Peter the Great, Catherine II wished to expand her territory. But for 18th century Europe, Russia was still a barbaric country that had no place in the family of nations like England, France, or Prussia. Catherine then waged a war against the Ottomans and won a decisive naval battle. To celebrate her victory, the Empress ordered a series of 12 paintings from the painter Hackert. Catherine II erected several monuments to the glory of Russia, like the Chesme Church, with its extravagant neo-Gothic architecture. Defiant flames on the facade symbolize the triumph of the Russian fleet over the Turkish army. During her reign, Catherine II rarely came to Peterhof Palace, except for an annual visit on June the 28th and 29th to celebrate the anniversary of her coming to power. But as her predecessors did, the Tsarina wanted to embellish the palace. In 1764, she created the Cabinet of Fashions and Graces, also called the Painting Hall. Jean-Baptiste Valin de la Motte, a French architect, helped her to decorate this room. Together, they had the idea of using paintings acquired 2 years before and hanging them side by side on the walls. At the time, it was very fashionable. Most of the 368 paintings were of young girls. Jean-Baptiste Valin de la Motte didn't just decorate this hall. The Frenchman was invited to St. Petersburg in 1759. His first achievement was the construction of Gostiny Dvor, a covered market with a neoclassical design. Situated on the Nevsky Prospect, St. Petersburg's main avenue, it has an austere facade and surprisingly simple arches. He also built St. Catherine's Catholic School. He constructed the Petit Hermitage to house the Tsarina's collections and also the Academy of Fine Arts. Under the reign of Catherine the Great, the city entered a golden age. Here, much of the country's history was written. The Empress encouraged the construction of magnificent palaces, and even the quays were plated with granite. She transformed parks and gardens throughout the city. Tsarskoye Selo, which means the village of the Tsars, is located south of Petersburg. It was Catherine the Great's summer residence. The palace was designed in the 18th century by Catherine I, Peter the Great's first wife. Destroyed during the war, it was completely restored. Its azure blue facade, adorned with white columns, stretches across 320 meters or more. The palace is a symbol of Russian baroque elegance. To impose her own style, Catherine II commissioned this amazing marble gallery next to her private apartments. She wanted to break with the baroque style of her predecessors and preferred neoclassical architecture. With its ionic columns and austere lines, the gallery evokes antique temples. Tsarskoye Selo gives the delusion of grandeur. Catherine II did not hesitate to spend lavishly to decorate it to her taste. She redesigned the interior of the palace, unleashing her creative spirit. The most precious materials were used everywhere. Inside, this Chinese cabinet used for receptions was entirely lined with silk. The decor reflected Russian fascination for Far Eastern culture. Ever since the reign of Peter the Great, relations with China continued to grow. The Amber Lounge was another symbol of Tsarskoye Selo's sophistication at the time. Immediately after acceding to the throne, Catherine the Great decided to enhance this exceptional room even more. During the next 4 years, 990 pounds of amber were used to decorate these unique panels. In 1945, they literally disappeared. So what we're admiring here is just a copy. Reconstruction was carried out thanks to rare black and white photographs of the original and to one photograph in colour. This sophistication was also reflected in the court's lifestyle. The palace's beautiful ballroom reflected the splendour of the reign of Catherine the Great. A gem of baroque architecture, this hall's outsized dimensions are astonishing. 900 square metres adorned with gold and wood sculptures. At the time of Catherine the Great, masked balls were organised. The Russian court was the most flamboyant in Europe. Not only did Catherine manage to establish herself as a great empress, but she succeeded in being loved by the Russian people. She cultivated her image as a benefactress of the arts and literature alike. Passionate about French culture, she embraced the Enlightenment and corresponded with Voltaire and Diderot. Informed of the latter's financial worries, she purchased his personal library from him and let him make use of it until he died, whilst giving him a librarian's pension. But the Empress did not stop there. Her affinity with the philosophy of the Enlightenment was not just a means of propaganda. The Tsarina really believed in the benefits of education. She transformed the Saint-Pétersbourg convent into a boarding school for young girls. The French language classes were very demanding. Catherine in person decided on the program.
Catherine wanted to embody the ideas of her friends, the French philosophers. That is to say, shape and educate a new generation in Russia. The philosophers of the Enlightenment thought that man was flexible and that he could be shaped in many ways. And it was in Russia that this enterprise of creating new people began.
To hoist Russia to the level of other European nations, Catherine the Great also encouraged the birth of a national art. In 1764, the Tsarina founded the Russian Academy of Arts. Opposite the Winter Palace, the monumental facade stands proudly on the banks of the Neva. Designed by French architect Valin de la Motte, the building was organized around a vast 50 meters diameter circular court, the size of the Pantheon in Rome.
For me, it's typical of the 18th century taste for architectural excess. Construction was carried out without worrying about dimensions. The French brought this taste for excess to the Russian court, as this is how they saw Russia.
Pupils attended the school from the age of 6 and lived there with their teachers. Catherine wanted Russians to be able to create true masterpieces too. In order to achieve this goal, she provided them with magnificent sculptors she brought from Italy.
Thanks to these plaster casts from Italy, students learned body proportions. It was the basis of their work, and then they learned to draw the body in motion. Through this, they got a better grasp of their art.
The program hasn't changed since the time of Catherine the Great. The Academy continues to teach figurative art in the purest classical tradition. Today, it trains students from all over the world. The Russian Academy of Arts houses many other treasures, like this unique collection of models. The Empress had a constant desire for construction, but before embarking on new projects, she demanded that architects present her with miniature building models, not plans. At the time, the construction of models required several months of work. Catherine the Great made the city what it is today. At the time of her death in 1796, her accomplishments were considerable. The people of St. Petersburg are very proud of these monuments. During Catherine's reign, the Dance Academy was modernized in order to achieve world recognition. Guardian of a 150-year legacy, the Marinsky Theater symbolizes the excellence of the Russian ballet. The Baroque-style building was constructed in 1860 as an homage to Empress Maria Alexandrovna, Alexander II's wife. In Russia, all ballerinas dream of dancing at the Marinsky. Thousands of hopefuls try their luck every year. Eleanor came to the Marinsky 6 years ago. Now 30 years old, she has just graduated to first soloist. She still has another hurdle to overcome before becoming prima ballerina. She realized her dream of dancing at the Marinsky Theater's mythical stage. This is the place where the greatest stars danced, like Václav Nijinsky or the famous Rudolf Nureyev. The crystal chandeliers, the gildings, nothing is left to chance.
The turquoise color was chosen because it's a soft color that isn't aggressive on the eyes, and gold because it was an imperial theater. These colors don't distract the spectators who remain focused on what is happening on the stage, so the marriage of turquoise and gold is an ideal one.
When she's not on tour, Elena trains here every day. She knows every nook and cranny of the Marinsky. In the workshop where they store all the costumes, hundreds of tutus reflect the evolution of dance since the time of Catherine the Great.
In the old days, costumes were very heavy. Ballet was very different then. You weren't allowed high jumps or fast pirouettes. There was a reason for that. You couldn't show your legs. It was unimaginable even to get a glimpse of a ballerina's ankle. All they saw was a little bit of shoe. But if the fans could see just part of an ankle, they were ecstatic.
After 10 years of renovation, the Marinsky has once again opened its doors to the public. It's the extension of the historical theatre of St. Petersburg, and together, these two monuments are among the most beautiful cultural buildings in the world. Even after midnight, it's almost as bright as daylight. Russians love the capital of the Tsars built 300 years ago on the shores of the Baltic Sea. The banks of the Neva, the Hermitage, Peter and Paul Fortress are unreal and magical places. On the pleasure boats, the party is in full swing. At night, it's traditional for lovers to get married on board in paper costumes. Legend has it that in St. Petersburg, marriages last forever.